Okay, everybody, welcome. This is Professor Paris, and this is part one of our first project with our sewing class being online. And this is, because of the times, a mask that we're going to be doing. Now, a couple of things I want to lay out right off the bat. This isn't one of the masks you would use in a hospital, so keep that in mind. Also, how it fits around your face is going to determine how effective it is. I can't guarantee how effective it is. There's conflicting information out there, but pretty much it tells you it's about a third safer wearing a mask versus not. But there's conflicting information out there. But this is for peace of mind, and since it might be mandatory for certain places to have a mask, this is an option for you to be able to have one for yourself and make some for your loved ones. So, first part is what do you need to make this? So, one is you need fabric, woven fabric. I'm going to use muslin because it makes it easier so you can see the contrast stitching. But you can pick a pretty fabric. I'm going to be doing on the pictures I showed you. There's some pretty blue fabric and another print fabric. But you need a woven material, so you need to cut an 8.5 inch by 8.5 inch square. So take your ruler, okay, and measure off 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Either mark it with a chalk or mark it with water-soluble pen. I really like these gel pens from Friction. The clickers, the erasable gel pens that I've mentioned in class, I'm sure, a bunch of times. They're great because you can write on here and then steam it off and it goes away. And it doesn't leave any marks on here or your iron. So this is a good option. You do need an iron and an ironing board. You also need a secondary piece of fabric that serves as the bias tape, the binding, so you can cut it on the bias or on the cross cut. And you're going to cut a 1 3/8 inch by 10 inch strip. Okay, so 10 inches by 1 3/8. So this is a crosswise grain. So you're going to need 1 3/8. So a secondary strip of fabric for that. You are going to need some pins. You're going to need obviously some scissors, and you're also going to need this is optional, but some people like to use the twist ties. Other people like to use pipe cleaners to help it bend around the nose a little bit better, so that's an option. That's optional. And what you definitely need is something to tie it or elastic so it goes over your ears. So in terms of elastic, not everybody has it at home. So some of your options. One is some Joann stores are offering materials to make a mask, and they're offering some elastic. So you can call your local Joann's and see if they have it. Not all of them do. See if you have elastic at home. So any type, 1/8 inch elastic. So not the thick elastic, like 1/8 inch or a little bit wider. This is like 1/4 inch. But if you don't have that, things to look for. Sometimes the elastic, some of your garments have that shoulder tape, that elastic hanger tape, so it hangs on your hanger. That's elastic, so you can get some of that, cut some off, because usually we don't really use them. So your garment stays on the hanger. So look in your closet. This is elastic. When you buy inexpensive shoes and they use elastic to tie the shoes together, to put them together, that's elastic. So you can use that. So check to see if you have that. You can use yarn that has, especially if it's bouncy, if it has some crimp to it, it'll actually have some give. You can use that. Just check around to see what has elastic so you can use some. One option that I haven't seen out there, and I think it's a completely viable option, is jersey tubes. So what you can do is you can get jersey fabric, which is t-shirt fabric. It's a knit. Now, not a rib, because this won't work on a rib, but it works on jersey. And what it is you only need a little bit. So on the crosswise grain, you're going to cut a very thin strip and then just pull. And because it's jersey, the ends will curl in, right? And it stretches, so you can use this. This is a perfectly viable way of using, in place of elastic. And it does stretch. It does have some give. So this is actually something that I think is a really good option. You can make jersey strips, jersey tubes all day long. All you need is just a little bit of leftover jersey, an old t-shirt that you're not wearing anymore that has a stain or a hole. You can cut that off and make jersey tubes. So also you can use this to make some cool knotting and jewelry and stuff like that, and headbands and stuff. So anyways, that's an option. Okay, so what you're gonna do right off the bat, so this first part is to prep before we actually get started on the sewing. So what you wanna do is follow the guide, right, that I gave you. So you're going to go ahead and from the top of your square, you're gonna mark down from the top 1.5 inches, okay? So mark down 1.5 inches on both sides. Okay, and from that first mark, you're going to, sorry, that's my dog. That's my dog. From that first mark, you're going to go down 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch and make a mark. Then from that mark, 3/8 of an inch down, mark, and from that mark, 3/4. From that mark, 3/8 of an inch, and from that mark, 3/8 of an inch, and then from that mark, 3/4. You're going to repeat on the other side. Now for doing this version, it's going to be for 3 pleats. You can do 4 pleats. The picture with the instructions that has all the instructions kind of on the same picture has it with 4 pleats. The blue pictures with the blue fabric has 3, so we're going to do with 3 pleats on this demo. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's pressed, that there's no wrinkles, again, and that you have your strip of fabric. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be pleating. Okay, so these marks are to help you as a guide to pleat. So what you want to do is you're going to take this mark, you go from the top to the bottom, and you're going to bring the fabric up. So that's what those arrows pointing up on the guide. So you're going to take and join the marks, okay? And you're going to pin, all right? Now some tutorials will say just go ahead and press, which you can if you want to just do this. Press it with your fingers and then just press, iron it, you can. Otherwise, pin first and then you can iron, okay? So join the 2 markings. You're not going to notch them. They're just to mark it. And you can mark them on the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to pin it with the pins going horizontal, okay? So then I leave the 3/8 and then I'm taking the next mark and joining it here and pleating that. That's my dog. That wasn't me, by the way. It's important that you know that. And 3rd pleat. So you're going to fold the fabric. Actually, for the first one, I didn't put as much with the pin. You're going to pin it in place. Again, form that 2nd pleat. And that 3rd. So again, if you want a 4th pleat, you can. That's optional. If you want the 4th pleat, all you would have to do is from your last mark, go down 3/8 of an inch. And then from that mark, go down 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and then just form 1 more fold. Okay. Pin. Okay, so you have 3 rows of pleats. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take it to the ironing board. Okay, and first press with your fingers, that'll help. press. I'm going to go ahead and press where I left the markings because I use the gel pen and it'll take away all the markings. And give it a really good press. So that's what the directions say on your guide. When I mean a good press, it's like you're not going to rush this. You're really going to press it to keep those pleats in place. Okay. All right. And now you have your pleats set, and now we're ready to sew.